This starts with those gorgeous little cheese and ham sandwiches right there in the middle. That's a puff pastry, just like you make a croissant from. And outside of that, we've got some wonderful little pigs in blankets. I added some jalapeno to it. Better believe it. This is a great recipe. These are super easy to make, and they're fast. Guys, perfect game day goodies. Well, howdy folks. Welcome to Texas Cooking Today. What you're watching here is a Texas Cooking Today tutorial. These are very in-depth videos on the techniques and methodology used to make any of my recipes. So anytime that you see one of my recipes that says tutorial, that's what this is. Now if you just want the recipe, you don't want the extra information, that's the previous episode, guys, so check that out if you would. This one is going to teach you everything you need to know about making this recipe. Now let's get on with it. There we go. Guys, we have some wonderful food back here. This is all about game day foods, okay? Now I wanted to put out some videos that were helpful videos for folks that just aren't that hot in the kitchen. Okay, so this is some starting recipes. If you want some really tasty stuff for your game day, this is the right thing, guys. It's easy to make, but you need to know a few things. The ingredients are kind of, you might call them special in some ways. They're not the stuff that you're probably used to looking for in the grocery store. So let me explain something. You can buy puff pastry pre-made. It's in the freezer section. Right where they sell pies and cakes and things like that, in the freezer case, they'll have a section where they have empty pie shells. Okay, and right next to that, they have phyllo dough and puff pastry and all kinds of stuff. This is a puff pastry, and that's what we're going to be using to make these wonderful little ham sandwiches and some very tasty pigs in blankets. It's a fun way of doing it. It's an easy way of doing it. It doesn't require you do a lot of extra work. So you're going to look like a hero on game day. You're going to produce some fantastic tasting appetizers. And guys, this stuff, not so hard to make. So I'll tell you what, come on, let's get involved in getting this cooked up. It doesn't take long, don't worry. Okay folks, when it's time to work on your jalapenos, now if you're not accustomed to be in the kitchen, you'll notice I'm wearing gloves. If you're going to be cutting up jalapenos, it's really smart to wear gloves. Because, and here's why, these things are hot on the inside. So when your hands touch what's on the inside, you get that oil on your hands. It does not wash off easy. I mean, even if you scrub hard, 2-3 hours later, you scratch under your eye and suddenly things are burning, okay? Do yourself a favor, just wear some gloves. Makes it easier, okay? Now, let's take off these crowns. Get that out of my way. I'm going to split these in half, guys. Very gently cut them open, lengthwise. There we are. To make a jalapeno not quite as hot as it is, the majority of the heat in a jalapeno is contained right here in the core. Okay, so if we cut the core out, I'm going to use a spoon. There we go. Isn't that simple? Look how easy that spoon does that. And it pulls the seeds out. So we've removed, right there, 90% of the heat of the jalapeno, and I've kept the best part. Okay, I've kept the part I want to use, those nice thin green strips. Do that to each of your jalapenos. Now folks, once you have all of your jalapenos cut up, let me tell you a little trick about cutting peppers if you're not used to doing it. If you try to cut through the outside of a pepper and your knife isn't remarkably sharp, then it's not going to cut very easily and you're going to be forcing through that. So just turn it over so the flesh side is up and you can make very simple cuts. Isn't that easy? Now my knife, really sharp, which allows me to do things like that. Just like that, okay? We have some wider ones, some narrower ones. Now I'm going to put all of these into a bowl. There it is. But our jalapenos are ready to go. Now guys, when working our pastry dough, what we need to do, let me get one of these off of here. And I'm going to be putting it on this surface. Now I want to make sure the surface I put it on is floured, alright? Because we don't need anything sticking. If you get some of that flour on your hands, that's just fine. It helps out. Trust me on this one. Now what we want to do, just gently open this up. This is after it has thawed for a little while. This has had about almost, well, I would say almost 30 minutes to thaw. Now if it starts breaking right where it's folding, don't worry about that, because that's right where we're going to be cutting, alright? I'm going to take my knife and very gently cut right along these lines. And this does not have to be perfect by any means, alright? By cutting this into thirds. So one cut will be here and another cut here, and you can kind of dent them like that so you know right where to mark, okay? And then just gently cut through. And there we have our squares for sandwiches. You're going to have one of these left over. Don't worry about that. We're just going to use that one for pigs in a blanket. Now one at a time, let's take our ham, kind of get those edges folded in and under. If they hang out a little bit, that's okay. Don't worry about that. And these, I want them to have a good, robust flavor. So I'm going to be doing 2 pieces of my ham on each one. And guys, the next thing I'm going to want is some of that wonderful cheese. On these cuts, you don't have to be like super thick, okay? You can just be kind of gentle with it. And you've got a choice on what kind of cheeses you want for your sandwiches, guys. If you want to go with Swiss or American or whatever, you can do that. Just remember, they're going to melt out a little bit more and a little different. Okay? Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? And trust me, if your friends don't like this, hey, just send them on home, okay? Say, sorry guys, you can't be here anymore. This one is a really, really good recipe. If you'll notice, I'm baking on a piece of paper. That's called baking parchment. Now, if you've never purchased or used baking parchment before, your baking parchment can be purchased right over next to where they sell foil or plastic wrap, things like that. So there we have it, beautiful, ready to go in the oven, and that's going to puff up and they're going to look gorgeous when they're cooked. But before I do that, we're going to top them with some of our egg wash. Our next recipe, we're going to be doing those pigs in a blanket. Okay, so we've got to pull out another sheet. These we're going to be cutting into strips about the same width as one of these cocktail smokies. So that looks like about the same width, doesn't it? Now you know exactly how wide to cut each and every one of yours. Now let's take some of our other ingredients. We had our cocktail smokies, we had this also. So let's take this, and I want to take him and just break off what I don't need. Place my cocktail weenie right there with it and roll it up. With the seam on bottom, down here, I'm going to put it on my pan. And just do that with each one. Now folks, we have everything together there. I'm going to be baking that up in just a moment, but I need to get it brushed with some egg wash. So I have my egg right over here and some water, a whisk, and a brush. If you don't have a whisk, use a fork. If you don't have a brush, use the edge of a paper towel. It works out fine, okay? Let's go ahead and get this prepared. I just need to crack that egg into a bowl. I'm gonna beat it gently. Now what I did at first was break that yolk. That was that first thing that you heard me do there. Work your water in. That was only 2 tablespoons of water. Now guys, you don't have to beat this heavy, just to make so it's well combined, just like that. To bake these things up, you're going to need that oven at 400 degrees, so get it preheating, guys. Now guys, let's take our egg wash and just gently brush the top of our simple little sandwiches. This is going to give them a beautiful, glossy coating. So you're going to have something real special for your friends, really delicious, great game day stuff, and it didn't take a master chef to pull it off, did it? Nope. Sometimes the little tricks of the trade I'll gladly share with you and help you out with. Now these need to be in the oven for about 15 minutes at 400 degrees. The oven's at 400 now. I'm going to put them in there. If they start to get too dark on the edges, pull them out, guys. And if they're not dark enough, leave them in for a few extra minutes. That's as simple as it is, okay? Get these popped down into your oven. Remember, that's 400 degrees. Set your timer for 15 minutes. And don't worry, you don't have to have this over every single little bit of it. If there's some spots that don't have the egg wash, trust me, the contrast actually looks good, okay? So don't let that bother you. Perfection isn't absolutely necessary on these little gems. I don't know about y'all, but this is one of my favorite little party foods right here. With as simple as it is, it's one of my favorites. They are so delicious, and they are now ready for the oven. Now guys, so you'll know what I purchased. This was a small size package of these little links, and they're usually around 12 to 14 ounces per package. These things don't cost very much. They're fairly inexpensive. You can use any kind of Italian cheese you want, okay? Use some Parmesan, you can use Romano, you can do this, use your Grana Padano, but just make sure it's in block form so you can make slices. It makes the sandwiches so much easier to put together. And the way this reacts in the heat works better than that dried stuff. So you want to use a block cheese. Now, back here we have dried ham, and if you want, you can also use dried beef for this. So you can do a dried beef sandwich with maybe some cheddar cheese on it or something like that. This is adaptable, okay? So we've got dried ham, and I've got an egg here. This is to make the top of the pastry shiny when we've baked it up. So as you've seen, we take that and mix it with a little water. Got some jalapenos here. As much as you would like to add to either of these, you can add the jalapenos to the sandwiches, you can add the jalapenos to the pigs in blanket, or cheese, or other items. So guys, this is all very versatile. But as you can see here, basic, clean, quality ingredients, and we're going to make some very, very good food with that. This is what you're going to need. Now, so you'll know, when you buy a package of this pastry, these come in a couple of pastries. They're usually 1 foot square sheets. So it's as wide as it is long here once it's unfolded. And what we're going to do is we're going to unfold them, and we're going to cut them where the fold lines were to make our little goodies with. So really neat. When you're buying these, that's what you're looking for. This is 1 box. If you want to make this for a lot of people, you might consider getting 2 or 3 of those, and plenty more of this. These are ready for the oven, so I've got another rack in there. I'm just going to use it. And it's in the oven, guys. Remember, this is very simple. Just let it cook up. Leave it alone, it'll be fine. Now we had 2 pans in there, so we're gonna switch the locations in 7 minutes. Once that is done, we let it finish baking, and we're gonna end up with the most remarkable and delicious little goodies you've ever had. Guys, we have just made some beautiful treats for game day. These are some wonderful recipes. You need to give them a try. It's not hard to do, as you've seen. Just be bold enough to do it. So if you've never cooked at all, here's a good chance to make something really fun. Have a happy game day, guys. Guys, your friends are going to lose their minds when they taste this ham sandwich. It's incredible. Well, one thing's for sure. Everybody's going to enjoy this party platter. It's a tasty number. Folks, give this one a try. You're really going to enjoy these recipes. They're delicious. If you would, please check out my channel, share this video, and thank you for watching. Ooh, these are tasty. Well, there it was, guys. Did that answer all of your questions on how to make that recipe? I certainly hope so. Hey, if you have any requests or questions or comments or anything like that, feel free to drop them in the boxes down below. I do appreciate that, and I read those, believe it or not. Thank you for watching Texas Cooking Today. Folks, please share my videos. And again, thank you very much for watching Texas Cooking Today.